Hey guys, it's Big Sexy with Big Sexy Outdoors. If you guys are looking for your bucks to be big and sexy like me, I recommend you go out and get yourself some Big Sexy by Domain. This product is filled with radish, turnips, and kale, and other vegetation to keep the deer coming back all season long. Go out to your local Tractor Supply and purchase some today. Big Sexy by Domain. Hey, what's up, guys?
Hey, how you doing?
Super excited tonight to have Bob Chase from Pennsylvania Hunting and Fishing Addicts. I met Bob through the internet, and Bob is, I guess you want to call him the rattlesnake specialist. The way I describe people to Bob when they ask me, how was he when you met him? What does he do? I always refer to, and Bob, you're going to enjoy this. I refer to the Dzecki's commercial.
Oh,
when they say he's the most interesting man in the world.
Nice. I've been accused of that.
I'm telling you, your stories, your your adventures are incredible. I laughed. I enjoyed them. I had such a good time. I told Chris, I said, Chris, I could not have went with a better dude. I mean, I said, this guy was full blown into it, fearless. I had so much fun. He laughed and joked. So, Bob, I super appreciate you coming on the show and joining Chris, myself, and I think Brandon will pop in at some point.
Nice. Oh no, man, that's I told you you'd have a good time. I appreciate you having me on. But I told you you'd have a good time, man. I looked at that and I said, there's an opportunity to get out and get somebody else out there and show them what it's about and how much fun it could be. Because other than the little fishing, there's not a lot going on in the summer right now, and so. I don't watch a lot of TV, so I'm always looking for something to do. And a few years ago when snake hunting popped up, the opportunity came, I was all in. And I mean, I'm no expert by any means. I don't consider myself an expert. I mean, I'm just an enthusiast. And I get out and I try to teach myself a lot of stuff. I learned a lot from friends. I have a friend, Ray, man, he's very knowledgeable. I used to tube snakes and I thought I was doing great, and he showed me a better way. That was the way to go.
Well, I'll tell you what, compared to me, you were definitely a specialist because my knees were knocking. I was a 360-pound scared dude. Bill was a 300-pound scared dude. So you guys are, one thing I said about snake hunting, and I'll say it again, is you have got to be fearless. I mean, you guys, when you seen a snake, you guys dove in there. It was like, yo, look at that. And me, I was like, nah, they're good. They'll get it.
Yeah, no, I knew you'd like that. It's you could see it. Everybody thinks these things are going to rear back and jump at you, and man, they just want to get away from you and hide. And that time of day that we were out, and it was a pretty cool day out. They were right on the edge of rocks. They weren't out in the wide open basking where you could just walk over and observe them. I mean, you saw anytime you got close, they felt the ground moving. They shot into a rock. I mean, we had how many get away from us?
Yeah, it was definitely, I know for me, it was an experience. I know Bill still talks about it. Bill said he's going to buy snake tongues. And
nice.
Chris, go ahead, Chris. I see you have a question.
How long did it take you till you were comfortable going out by yourself to do this?
Well, I don't know. I pretty much got right into it. I mean, I always refer to the whole Shrek story where I'm the scariest thing in the woods. So, I've never really been afraid of it. The first time I grabbed the snake, I had about 170 people standing there and they were videotaping me. And I just reached down and grabbed it by the head and picked it up. And man, I would never do that again. I mean, I just reached down and grabbed it right behind the head. And oh boy, that could have been disastrous.
I can honestly see you being that guy that is fearless to do that. I don't mean that. So I mean that in a great way. Like you just were like, I remember. So I'll tell you what, tell us the story. Tell the guys about the story. I think that's a great story to start off.
Which one? The first snake you got there?
Yeah, the first snake you got at that you're at a youth event.
Well, every year I'm on the board of the NEPA junior shoot. It used to be the former Ed Stayback shoot. He was one of our local representatives that started this great, awesome event where they have kids come out. It's an NRA sponsored shoot, and it's coming up, in fact. And so I was asked by a friend of mine, the police chief in the next town over, who's the president of the event, and he asked me if I could come up there and just do a basic trapping seminar to keep the kids preoccupied for a while because they don't all shoot at the same time. So, I mean, I jumped at the opportunity because I love doing that. And I was in the middle of showing some stuff, and I could see the crowd flocking to the side, and I'm like, "What's going on here?" You know, and so. I hear hollering and that, and Chief Joe comes over and he's like, "Hey, the game commission wants to talk to you," and hands me the phone, and they weren't there. Usually they're there, and they're like, "Hey, there's a rattlesnake in the parking lot. Can you go down and chase it away with a stick?" And I'm like, "Yeah, sure, no problem." So yeah, I go down there and everybody surrounded it, and of course, some people, of course, wanted to shoot it, and at the time, I mean, I wasn't really a fan of snakes or anything, but I can't see killing something like that. And I just went down there and I put a garden hole in its head, and I had some trapping stuff on, gloves and knee pads and that. And I looked like I was going for a hockey game there, little street hockey. And I just found it. I put the garden hole on its head and grabbed it behind the head and picked it up, and I had 170 people there videotaping me and taking pictures, and I'm like, cool. Somebody send me at the time I was on the hunting page, and I said, somebody send me a cool video. And of course I got like 10 videos, and they're all pretty profane, and and what they were saying, like, look at this crazy bleep bleep, 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 bleep. He's out of his mind, So I didn't have the knowledge to censor anything. So I found the cleanest video and I posted it, and holy crap, it went viral. And then I had people calling me up and they're like, "Hey, could you take me snake hunting?" And I'm like, I had a buddy of mine who's a friend from childhood. He's like, "Oh, there's a regular season." I'm like, "There is?" I had no idea. So he got me into it. And I mean, we went right out the first day. I think we caught 3 rattlesnakes the first day, and it was near the end of the season. So, and then I started studying more about snakes and that, and looking into their biology and everything and where they're at. And I'd find the first year I found a dozen or two, then I found 30, 40, and then I found 40, 50. And, between me and my buddies, whoever went with me that day, we found 95 rattlesnakes and 2 copperheads this year. And now if you're out in like central Western PA, you might find that in a day. I really don't know. I haven't been out there yet. I've been invited out there several times by friends from Elk County Alliance, and I just haven't had the opportunity to get out there. But northeastern part of the state, those numbers are high, because we just don't have the population around here like they do out there.
Man, I don't know, Bob. I've seen it firsthand. These guys haven't. I can tell you that it's amazing to see you guys do it. I mean, your buddy Jimmy, you told me he was fresh to it, and he just run right to him. He had no. I mean, I don't know. I'm a scaredy cat, I guess. I don't know what to say. I thought it was cool once we were there, but until we got involved, I mean, literally, I was shaking in my boots.
Yeah, you were shaking like my cousin's trailer on the wedding night. They're divorced now, so I think they're my second cousins. But anyway, Jimmy is new to it this year, but he came in. He's a pretty savvy outdoorsman from the get go, and it didn't take him long to figure it out, and he knows what's for, and he's a little more like excited, and you saw him jumping right into it. And whereas I'm like, yeah, let him crawl around a little bit and wear himself out. But no, Jimmy's pretty savvy, man. He's got a good eye. I mean, you saw him, he was picking snakes out like right off the bat. And I'm looking for key areas. And of course I was kind of watching where we were walking, and there was a lot of behind the scenes stuff that, we didn't tell you guys, that, we were really watching where you guys were walking, where you were stepping and everything. Cause I mean, I promised you guys you wouldn't get hurt, and I knew you wouldn't, but I'm a first responder. So you always want to err on the side of caution, make sure everybody's safe and having fun.
You did a good job at that. I was safe, and I felt safe. I want you to know that after we got going, I felt safe. My nerves were gone. When you put that snake in my hands, I was like, oh my God. Oh my God. I was shaking. I was so excited, but I was so nervous at the same time.
I know.
It was awesome.
Oh, I mean, even the boys, every time we handed them a snake, you could see they're apprehensive at first, but man, they're like, yeah, this is cool, And that's how I was. But, I tell everybody, I put a picture up and, I have people tell me I'm going to delete you off Facebook because I don't like seeing these snakes. And they're like, why do you do it? And I'm like, I told you, it's like Easter egg hunting, but for men.
I do love that saying. I can't. So we have a viewer asking, what is your biggest snake you've ever caught?
Oh, actually, I sent you a picture. I caught one this year, and I'm not going to give you locations, but it was out in Pike County, and it was 52 inches, and that's the biggest one that I've personally handled.
We'll get that pulled up there, Chris.
Yeah, that thing was. And it took me. I was by myself, so it took me a while to tube it. And then I came back a few weeks later, and we were able to capture it again and get some better pictures. The pictures I had were horrible. Like I held my one arm all the way out this way, and the snake all the way out this way. And of course, perspective. The snake didn't look big. And then I had my buddy Ray and RJ with me, and they took some good pictures. I got some good pictures of them with them too.
That's I can't imagine because I know the 42. What do we have? 45 and a half was a that thing was huge in my eyes. I was like, holy moly!
Oh no! If you saw a big snake, we'd have to clean your drawers, man. Because
probably,
even I see a big snake, I'm like, holy lightning! Look at the size of that thing.
Yeah, probably. I'm not gonna lie.
We're at the point too now. Like, I mean, with you. As I explained in the beginning of the YouTube video, it was a learning experience. So we handled snakes that we wouldn't handle. But, most of those snakes, those first, the second and the third snake we handled were sizable snakes. But like that first one, I would have never even grabbed it or anything. I mean, you could look at it, you could tell it's a female, possibly grab it. So we generally don't even touch them. We try to take some pictures and let it go. Yep, there it is there.
Oh, we lost it. There we are.
Yeah, that was a good sized snake. I mean, that thing was as big as my arm. I don't have any videos of it, of me holding it or nothing. Just the pictures, still photos.
That's crazy.
Yeah, that snake was getting ready to shed, and I believe it shed about 2 weeks later because we caught it. In fact, we caught it. My buddy was keeping it for educational purposes, and he has a video of it shedding. And he took it and put it in his lawn, and he had it shedding.
Oh, get out. That's cool.
Yeah, I'll send you that.
Now, is that other picture you sent, is that the same snake or is that a different?
No, actually, that is a rattlesnake I kept last year. I kept that one. I owed somebody a favor, and all they wanted was a rattlesnake. And, I own up to my favors. So they wanted a rattlesnake. That snake's getting a full mount. That's the only snake I've ever kept personally myself. And like I said, this year I caught about 6 or 7 that I could have kept, but it doesn't bother me to keep them. Like I said, if you were keeping it to eat it, you're going to starve because there's not a lot of meat on them anyway.
They are amazing creatures. I will say that once you see them and Chris, you touch them and just see it all firsthand. Like I said, these guys are fearless. So, and they handle them all the time. So when they're handling them, their fear is gone. And they're showing you things. It is amazing. It's amazing.
How many can you keep in a year?
You can keep one male rattlesnake over 42 inches, and then you could also you could still be out hunting, but it's just like buck hunting. You once you shoot a buck, hey, I'm a doe hunter now. Like in the old days, you shoot a buck and you can't even carry a gun if you want to participate in a drive or something like that. If you're allowed to also keep a copperhead, any size, any sex, so you could still be out there. Like last year, I caught that one that was still a week in the season. I went out and man, I found a gorgeous yellow that I wanted to handle and take pictures of. And I'm like, you know what? I was fuzzy on exactly the way the rules are. I'm not even going to touch it. I just took some photos of what I could before it scampered off, and that was it.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I don't know what else to say. I was part of it. So Chris, if you were there to experience it, all I can say is it's an experience of a lifetime, and I do not regret any part of it.
Oh yeah. And it was nice too. It wasn't very mountainous where we were. So it wasn't a terrible walk, and it was really cool out. I mean, I'm shocked we found the amount that we had in that day because of the weather. And, And that other snake hunter, we know he stomped through our grounds there, so we know he shook it up too. I mean, I expected to find at least 20, but knowing he walked through there, our two best areas didn't prove hardly anything. So I knew it was hit already. And once they hit it, man, sometimes it's like 5-6 hours before they come back out.
Now I'm not sure if you've ever seen, but I've seen the Steve Irwin stuff where he was near a rattler, and then he had to tell the cameraman to stop and not move and all this other stuff, right? Just precautionary and everything else. Mm-hmm. Was there ever a time when you were so close, or that you were actually worried?
Well, you know what? I take my kids out a lot. My daughter goes out, and she's pretty fearless too. She's not scared of much of anything. And my son Grant, he is. I'm going to say he's more careful. And he just walked along with us twice this year and took pictures. But he got squirted on with musk in the face last year, and it shut him right down. He's like, I'm done, no more for me, But he's always like, Dad, watch where you step. Dad, don't step there. Dad, you're too close, And I the old way I used to tube him, I used to just try to hurry up and tube it, and I would like poke it down on its head and then just stuff it up the tube, and it wasn't a very safe way to do it, and it wasn't. There was an easier way on the snake that I could have done it. And as you saw, we just kind of like eased him up the tube, and it was a lot safer, a lot easier. Now you're close when you're in there, you're getting close to their strike zone, but watching the way their body articulates and how they're coiled and such, you kind of get a feel of how far they could strike. And you do it enough times, you're comfortable with it. My first time, I was, the 4-foot tongs, that was as close as I was getting. I wasn't getting any closer than that. And, you poke around and play with them enough, you kind of know where that space is, or what you can handle and what you can't handle. Where it gets sketchy is when we get into these spots where there's 5, 6, 8, 10 snakes, and you're in the middle of it, and you want to get the one that's way over there. And, you don't want to scare these, or, then it gets a little sticky in that situation.
Now, again, something else. Again, I'm only asking things I think somebody may want to know. Do you carry anything just in case, God forbid, you get bit?
No. There's my understanding of the antivenom, and you know what? I know a couple of people that got bit this year. Actually, I didn't really ask them the full process, but I believe it has to be refrigerated, and it's stored. Before I do go out, I have my doctor check, and there are 2 hospitals local to us that have the antivenom. So, I mean, of the 6, 7 hospitals in our region, you can't just go to any hospital. You're just going to waste time. But it's a matter of getting to the hospital, knowing what you got bit by, and then they're going to work on the severity of it to figure out how many vials you need to get. Thank God I've never even come close to that to worry about it. So I haven't had anything like that to deal with.
So there was a comment there. Hold on, I wasn't ignoring anybody. Friend of mine had gotten tagged by one on the finger and had trouble for 2 years now.
Yeah. A friend of mine got bit on the finger, and probably 15, 20 years ago, and he doesn't have any use of that finger. I mean, it looks normal and such, but it's just dead. It's just there. No feeling to it. Can't move it. Nothing. I do know that. And he got sick from it. I won't lie to you. I think he was a little sauced up when he got tagged. Might have helped him, might have hurt him. I don't know.
The reason I call you the guy from Giuseppe's is because you don't just go after snakes. You are just like us. You love fishing, hunting. You scuba. I love that you're explain it. You're a scuba diver, right? I want to say scuba gear. You're a scuba diver, so you do rescues on top of it all.
Yeah, I belong to Dive Rescue Specialists. It's a dive team up in Scott Township, Lackawanna County, and we service a few counties around and assist in others. And we've gone down as far as Sunbury down there diving, and we've done dives for the state police, looking for bodies or evidence or things of that nature. I mean, a lot of we have a Facebook page that we have out there, and we don't advertise a lot of of what goes on with what we do because we don't want to bother with it. After when we go to do our job, we just want to go to do it, get out of there, go home, not watch the news or pay attention to it because I don't want to know anything about the person I pulled out. So, we post trainings and I was setting up here and we were talking about doing Narrowsburg. We're probably going to go out and dive Narrowsburg this weekend. We dove it last weekend, a bunch of us last Sunday. No, not this past weekend before. And we found 2 cell phones, found a nice fishing pole, worked. I found a horseshoe out in the middle of the river. I don't know what that was doing there, but we were basically out there just doing a little training. I took Grant, getting him used to some gear. He doesn't have a lot of experience diving. And so we did a bottom cleanup and the people out there at Landers River Trips, they were good enough to let us access on their property. And they said, whatever garbage we find, they'll get rid of it. So it was, it was a twofold deal. We had a good time doing it. And, we found some stuff. Grant's got the fishing pole working fine. The one phone I got was working. It was locked. I was able to do a video on there. And then I handed it to the Park Service officer and he was going to take it up to the lost and found. But we ended up finding a phone in the Lackawaxen River, and it was in a Ziploc bag, and it was full of water. And we took it out, drained it out, and dried it out, and plugged it in, and came on. It wasn't even locked. I went to the last number, called. The girl answered, and she's standing next to her mother. She's like, "Mom, there's a guy on the phone says he found your cell phone." She said, "Oh, that's impossible. I lost it 3 months ago. We're whitewater kayaking." And I said, "Well, we found your phone," and I sent her a screenshot of the home screen. She's like, "That's my phone." So we got it back to her in a couple of days and she was happy.
That's probably an experience all by itself. I would say it can be really cool and really devastating at the same time.
Oh yeah. I like doing, we do a lot of fun stuff like river and lake cleanups and, we'll go out to these dry hydrants for the fire companies and clean out around their, where they draft from. They have a lot of the fixed pipes where they draft. So we'll go clean around them once in a while. And, people lose things in the water. They'll call us, ask us to come looking for them. And, we got called to look for a fishing pole. We sent a squadron of divers out there. And I mean, if we weren't volunteers, I couldn't imagine what that would cost for a fishing pole. It wasn't
that would be pretty funny, to be honest with you.
Yeah, but it's a lot of fun. I got into it by accident. I had some money. I did a big job, and I do commercial carpentry. I did a big job and as a subcontractor, and I did a big job. I always want to go scuba diving. My friend, my buddy Fred, he had a class going on, and from Like to Fish scuba divers, and I went up there and I thought it was awesome, man. I had a great time, and he's like, you ought to join the dive team, and I was like, oh boy. I'm involved in enough stuff right now. I don't want to get involved in something else. And he talked me into a meeting. I got there and they were going to, they had all these boats donated and they can't use them all. And so, man, I got a good deal. I bought some boats off them and they were able to use the money to buy more gear. And so one of the prerequisites of buying the boats is I had to sign up and become a diver. So I did. No regrets.
I see a lot of pictures of you doing it. So you must, there you go.
Oh yeah. Yep. Yeah. They're having classes coming up and that's a limited, there's only a limited spots to that. I think he only takes like a dozen people every like twice a year that he does it, but it's very hands-on. And, he is a first responder as well. So what happens is, he teaches you what to do when things go wrong. You could go down to down to Bahamas or whatever and take these 2-hour courses and, all of a sudden you're called a scuba diver, but when you got to know what happens when things go wrong. And my first big dive, I was down 65, 70 feet and I had somebody come swim by and kick my regulator out of my mouth and kick my mask off. But, with the training that we go through, I knew what to do. And I got fixed up in under a minute and opened my eyes and everybody's in front of me like this. You okay? Are you okay? And, this doesn't mean I'm good. This means go up. So you got to give them one of these back. And it all worked out and probably a good thing it happened because now I feel more comfortable with crazy things like that. I mean, you're underwater, your mask fogs up. I take my mask off, clear it, put it right back on, blow all the water out of it, and you're good to go. There's a lot of stuff that you learn doing all that stuff. and the amount of fish that you see is just absolutely amazing.
Yeah,
Saw
I'll bet you see a lot of cool stuff under the water.
Yeah, now that's my son Grant. Last year he said, "Dad, I want to learn how to trap fishers." And again, I'm a an enthusiast trapper. I'm not a fantastic trapper, but I mean I'm probably more lucky than anything. And first day, first trap, kid catches a fisher. So we're getting that thing tanned so I could use that for hunter's ed classes, so we could show the kids, give them more hands-on stuff when we're teaching classes.
Them things are cool looking, man.
Yeah, I mean we've seen a lot of them around. Actually, we caught that right where we were snake hunting is where we caught that.
Really?
Yeah, like 20 yards off the main road.
Oh, get out! Oh, that's crazy.
Yeah, right up the hill there. I mean, when I talk to people and take them trapping and teach them the basics about trapping, and I tell them, listen, if you understand and learn how to trap, it's going to change how the way you think with deer and bear hunting and everything, because you could take a section of woods and you could just parse off all these things. Well, it's not going to be there, it's not going to be here, and how they travel. Like a skunk or a possum walks in different areas than a fox or a coyote would. So once you learn these different animal patterns of just like you're gonna, if you want to catch a mink, you're gonna want to go in a water course area. I've caught them a mile from water up in the woods before, but it's rare. You're gonna get more in the water course area than up in the woods. So it's a matter of knowing how animals move and travel, what they eat, and it teaches you to look into to micro look into woods plots and figure out how these things move and how you can better effectively catch them. People say trapping's easy, but I tell them, man, if you got 10,000 acres and you want to catch a coyote, you got to get them to step on a circle this round if you want to catch them in a trap. And that's not easy.
Now, how long have you been trapping, Bob?
Oh, I've been since the 70s.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah, I've been going with my dad trapping since I was a little kid. I mean, that's back when fur was big. I mean, you got a lot of money for furs, coons and foxes and everything else. And I mean, when I first went to college, I worked my way through college trapping. I'd go out in the fall and I was trapping, and I'd go out after classes on my way home, and I'd shoot 2 foxes every night, and I'd skin and case them out and roll them up, throw them in the freezer. And every Sunday morning, my buddy and I would meet and skin them. And he was my trapping partner at the time. And all my buddies are working these jobs doing flipping burgers and stuff for back then. I think it was like $4.25 an hour, or $3.75 an hour, and I mean I'm getting $35-$40 a fox. And it's fun as hell to do it. So I'd mind going out all night doing it.
I think that's awesome. So I got to ask this. I always ask everybody at traps, what's your favorite animal to trap and then why?
Oh, that's a good question. I've caught darn near every color of coyote there is. I've got black ones and white ones and yellow ones and red ones. And most of them had mange, and they're gruesome, but I'll tell you what, foxes are pretty cool. Where I grew up, we had a lot of gray fox. We had no red fox whatsoever. I mean, we caught 1 red fox a year when I was a kid, if you were lucky. But man, we clean up on the gray fox. We'd go out there, and like I said, I'd go out trapping, catch 1 or 2 a day, and go out calling, catch 2 or 3 at night. So just because I probably did more of it, I just like trapping gray fox. They're just a lot of fun, and there's we'd trap springs out in the woods. In the hard winter when everything was frozen up, you'd do a water set and catch foxes in a water set all the time in the spring. And you didn't have to worry about, your traps freezing with dirt hole sets and such. So I just thought it was easier. I just caught a lot more that way.
That's cool. I've heard it a bunch of ways. I heard coyotes because they're more sneaky and harder to catch. I've heard raccoons because they're easy. I've heard a million. So that's why I always ask that question. I always like to know. Now, gray fox, I think, are absolutely beautiful animals.
Oh, they're gorgeous. I see them around. I see them bow hunting. My kid's like, Dad, let's, whack it. I says, when you get done shooting with a broadhead, man, you're going to put a big hole in it. It's not going to be worth anything. I'd rather we go out at night with single shot 22 and call them in and shoot them, and it's a lot more fun.
Oh, I agree. We call them in at night. My problem is I just sighted in a 6.5 Creedmoor, and well, there's not much fox left.
No, there's nothing left of them then.
I ordered a 17. I have one on layaway, so I'm working on downgrading. I don't know if I can do it anymore because they're too beautiful to destroy.
Yeah, even a 17. I had one for a little while. Grant won it in a raffle, and man, I saw a nice black squirrel, and I thought, oh boy, I'd like to get that mounted. And man, I picked up both halves of it, and I'm like, I'm not gonna have it was already gutted and half skinned out, so I didn't have to worry about that when I ate it. But there wasn't much left to sew back together, so I wasn't fun. It was loud, and I already have a 22 mag. So I'm used to I was used to the loudness of it, but boy, it was pretty fast. It went right through it and just destroyed it. So it wasn't a caliber of my choice. And I'm cheap. Bullets are expensive.
So I got another dumb question. We're talking about weapons and stuff to shoot. So I'm going to throw one out that I've heard controversy on. I'm sure Chris will vouch this controversy on a bunch of times, and that is if you're hunting fox or coyotes, a 17 is too little. They're saying. And they're saying a 22 might be too small. What's yours? Where are you at there? Like, what's your gun to kill both?
If I'm hunting foxes, the 22 mag's pretty good. You put a well-placed shot on them. Don't take crazy 150-yard shots, things like that. That 22 mag is good enough. I mean, generally at 22, I've seen where a 500-pound bear was killed illegally with a 22. I mean, somebody shot one shot. That bear went 20 yards, fell over dead. So it's going to kill a coyote. It happens. So but if I'm in a competition, like we used to do, I've been a member of the Trappers Association. In fact, I got to check. I think my membership lapsed because I haven't gotten any magazines in a while. And we do the District 9 has a coyote hunt every year. And if I was in a coyote hunting competition, I generally take one of my kids' 243s because you just want to, you don't want to take you got big money on the line, man. You want to be able to reach out there if you have to. And, you don't worry about putting holes in them at that stage. I usually carry that and a shotgun.
Oh, you carry both in case for close range.
Yeah, and I'll tell you what, I most of the time end up using the shotgun.
I've heard that by a lot. I've never really had him that close to be able to do that.
Well, I mean, you saw how thick it is. Most deer hunting, I use peep sights. I most of my shooting's 10, 15 yards, 20 yards max. We don't do a lot of far shooting. We don't have the town I grew up in. We had like 2 fields. That was it. That was as far as you could say. We grew up grouse hunting. I used to hunt with just a little single shot 20 gauge and carry a bolt between my fingers for my second shot. And I always had English Springer Spaniels, and that's all I grew up doing was shooting grouse and fox hunting.
Yeah, when I hear people we're sighting the guns in for 250, 300 yards, I'm like, in the woods of PA, if you're shooting 60, that's far.
Yeah, and and it's weird because my son Grant always seems to find these far shots. Like I set up on the edge of heavy cover, expecting some hunting pressure in the woods, and we haven't had the hunting pressure in the past 4 or 5 years that we used to have. So we find ourselves moving out into open timber and the heavy oak mast and where you can see far, and the kid's getting 150-yard shots out there, and he's knocking them down.
I think in that it comes down to a lot of where you hunt. I mean, you just said it. If you're out in the open spots, you're out where you can shoot the 150, you can do it. Yeah. But in most cases, I mean, I know hardly ever have I shot a shot that was a long distance, unless it was in a field.
I think one of my farthest shots I ever killed a deer with was actually with a muzzleloader. It was 152 yards. It was like the last day of muzzleloader season. I needed some meat in the freezer, and I had a wide open shot on this ridge. And I've shot competition muzzleloader before, so I mean, I know what my gun could do at 200 yards. I wouldn't shoot at a deer at 200 yards. I thought it was closer until I paced it off. I thought it was about 100 because I've knocked deer down at 100 yards, no problem with my muzzleloader. I mean, it's not the year before last, I had one. It was exactly 100 yards. Smacked it down, and I cleaned it out. I picked the heart up, and it was a perfect hole right through it. I mean, it was a dead on shot, and so I know what my gun can do, and I probably have shot more deer actually with my flintlock than I have with my rifle.
A lot of guys say that. I've talked to a lot of guys that say that. Now, a lot of them are old timers, but I have talked to a lot of guys, and they say they would prefer
Oh,
the
that had to hurt.
No, I didn't mean it like that, Bob. I didn't mean it like that. Oh, Bob, I swear, Chris, you son of a gun.
I'll be 51 tomorrow.
Oh, Bob, I'm only 6 years behind you. That's
Nice.
not what I meant at all.
No, I got
I like how Chris set me up, though. He's a bugger.
Oh yeah, he definitely got you. Yeah, that, I think it's a matter of how old you feel. I mean, I hang around with kids a lot and do a lot of kid stuff. So even I work with young guys, and I work with all hardworking guys too, and you kind of saw how I am. I like to bust it a little bit. I grew up in construction. You can't hurt my feelings. So, when we go out, there was nothing you could have said that could have offended me. That's just and it kind of felt mutual because, I mean, we started right out of the get go. I pulled in, I said to Jimmy, I says, I think his t-shirt says I beat anorexia. And I get out and I look, oh no, it says Big Sexy Outdoors.
Oh, I beat anorexia. I didn't beat it. It beat me.
Nice.
Yeah, it beat me by far. That's pretty good. So when we talked and went through the woods, and I thought your stories were great. Some of them, of course, I won't share on here. But
yeah, I have a few. I got to.
We had some that were really good and made us chuckle. That's all I'm saying.
I have a couple of stories I didn't tell you. I'm still waiting to see if the statute of limitations what they are, and before I can release those ones. But they're pretty good stories, though. So,
but I know in our conversations, you talked about your turkey hunting experience. You talked about your bear hunting experiences. What's your favorite? I mean, what's your favorite animal out there? I have to ask. It's another question I ask. I love hearing because every hunter is different. What's your favorite animal to go after?
That's tough because, man, every couple of weeks you could just feel it in the air, and the seasons change and there's something to do. I mean, we're out there now, like August, we're scuba diving and doing different things, getting ready for this junior shoot. And, but you could feel it in the air, you could feel like I got the urge to go pick up my bow and start shooting more. And I want to go out in the woods and look for mushrooms and it's then you feel like, oh man, the salmon run, I'm going to miss the salmon run. I got to get up and go do salmon. So everything's different. I can't say I have one favorite because the guys I bear hunt with, man, we've been childhood friends, and and now we're hunting with their kids, and we're taking their kids out in the woods and their nieces and nephews, and we've been hunting with the same group for years, and we have a lot of fun bear hunting. And I could say bear hunting is a lot of fun. But I've been doing a lot of deer hunting with my kids, and my older boy has been pretty busy. He has a store now, so he doesn't get out too much. But my daughter, my son hunt with me a lot for deer, and I love it. But I always tell people turkey hunting when they ask me and they're like, why turkey hunting? And I just say, because it's warmer out and they're easier to drag.
All right. There you go. I like that theory.
But yeah, turkey hunting is great. And, they give you the option of having the second tag. And, I never fill my second tag because I just don't want to stop. I just want to go out and, when my kid's tagged out, I'm like, all right, let's see if this kid can go. Let's see if Abigail wants to go. And, who else wants to go? And, my wife's like, aren't you tired of turkey hunting yet? You're getting up at 3:00 every morning. It's like, no, man, it's an addiction. The only way to fix it is to go, and then they had it where you had to be up by noon. It's like, man, what am I going to do the rest of the day?
Yeah, I actually can see that, especially you. You are one busy dude.
Oh, every year, Grant and I call it running the gauntlet. When the seasons, when all the moons and stars collide, we get out there and walleye season opens. We'll leave my house. I come home from work Friday, take a nap. We'll get up at 11. We'll go up to the Paul Pack fishing for stripers and walleyes till about 4 in the morning. And then we'll go and we'll start turkey hunting out in Sterling area in Wayne County, and we'll just work our way home. And because at that point you can only hunt till noon, so we'll hunt our way home, and from sun up to noon, and then we'll go grab the kayaks and go back to the Delaware, and we'll kayak for the rest of the day fishing for bass and shad and everything else. And then it's like, well, on the way back, we could hit the Paw Pack again. It's not that far through Holly, and we'll go back fishing for stripers. And we'll leave my house Friday at like midnight, and we usually stroll in about 3:00 Sunday morning. And my wife's like, "You've been gone for 3 days." It's like, no, we've only been gone a day. I don't know what you're talking about.
Oh, it's a little longer to them. It's always a little longer. I was married, Bob. It's a little longer to them.
Yeah, it is.
If you're gone 4 hours, you were gone all day.
All day. My definition of a half a day is 12 hours.
See, I agree that they don't see it that way.
No, they don't see it that way.
Well, they want it their way. It's nothing personal. We're just, men are from, how do they say it? Men are from Mars, women are from Venus.
Yeah. What happened to Chris? He disappeared?
Oh, he'll come on and off. He's always digging and searching.
Yeah, nice.
So, Bob, I see we're at 41 minutes, and I don't want to end up
already
hitting our hour mark, and we end up not talking about. I wanted to show off your youth events coming up for sure.
Oh, yeah. Now I'm and a lot of this stuff is all separate from the page. It's just I have an avenue to promote these things, so I try to. And what we have here, this is the NEPA Junior shoot. Now this used to be the Ed Stayback shoot, and Ed was a local representative that started this shoot I think probably 40 or more years ago. And I mean, there's guys my age out there that remember participating in these things, and it was a great event. And sadly, he passed away last year. And we try to keep the memory alive. And we took hold of it a few years after he gave it up, and been running it since then. But it's an NRA sponsored shoot. We generally have about 100, 150 kids sign up for it, and it's broken down into age categories, and they can come out and win. And there's a lot of things on there that aren't on there, but the amount of prizes that we have for the kids, and I think we're up to 25 or 30 guns that we're giving away. So if you have 100 kids there, like 1 in 4 kids is walking out of there with a gun. Both my boys won guns up there.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah,
anything you do for the kids is incredible. I wish we did more for kids, and that's something we're working on. You have to get funded to be able to do those things, and we're not in the funding part, so that's what makes it tough for us. But we're always trying to take a kid hunting and keep them involved in it.
Absolutely. I mean, I'm all for getting the kids outside and doing something else. Excuse me. I was a firefighter in our town here for quite a few years now, and when I came there, I was like, where are the kids at? And they're like, oh, we don't have a cadet program. So I started a cadet program, and man, I had a lot of young kids go through there. My kids went through there. And I mean, the first year it started, I had like 12 boys, and I'm like, listen, no more. I can't handle any more than that. They had to maintain a grade point average, or I had to send them home. They couldn't respond. They couldn't do training. So then I was over there tutoring them, and they're coming to my house tutoring, and so it was all hands on. And my wife, she was getting a little mad, but she started having health problems, and we had little kids at the time, and these kids come over and they help me out, watch my kids for me. These they were like 16, 17 at the time, and they'd come over to my house and watch my kids while I, got her to the doctors or hospital, whatever at the time. So, it paid twofold. And a lot of these kids are, they moved on. They're engineers now. They're carpenters. They're policemen. And, a lot of them, some of them stayed in the fire service. Some did not. And, but you know what, that's education that they could never get rid of, doing something like that. But anything like this, when I got a chance to get part of this, I jumped on with it. But, we have a few members that really do a lot of stuff like this. Angela and Kenny Sarr, they're huge, man. They do 90% of the work, between them and Joe, I show up, nod my head, agree to stuff. But those guys, they do all the legwork, man. They put a lot of this stuff together. They spend hours and hours doing a lot of this stuff. You know what? I'm like, I got a short attention span. So, I give them a little here, a little there, and I'm onto something else. I got 1,000 irons in the fire. So I try just enough to stay involved to keep myself out of trouble and help promote and do things. So,
like I said, anybody that's listening, take an opportunity and go out, check out the event. I mean, you can't beat, if anything else, 1 out of 4 kids win a rifle. Go support it.
Oh, yeah. Now this one's interesting. The Christopher One Memorial Hunt, they have it. I was invited to come to that last year, and we actually went out with Don Jacobs from Pennsylvania Outdoor Life and brought him along, and they did a whole show on us out there. They did a show on me and Grant and the event and the venue and the guide with the dog, and I mean it was fantastic. And this was a horrible event that they turned around and made something nice out of it. Christopher Rowan was killed in an ATV accident a few years back, and his parents, Lee and Robin, decided to put a memorial fund together to keep his memory alive. And they do a lot of promoting youth in the outdoors. They have this hunt, and it's one of their fundraisers where they have a lot of sponsors put this together, and they have a limited amount of slots where kids will come out and they have a guide there. They have them do a little trap shooting first, and then they let some game birds go, and they have a guide with a dog take them out and take them a walk around for an hour. Like I said, we did it last year, man. We had a ball, and it was a lot of fun. We sat there, had lunch with them, and it was fantastic. And they really took a sad thing and turned it into something great. And I know Robin even there was a youth fishing derby sponsored by a local volunteer fire company a few years back, and they went and bought all the trophies for all the kids. That's the type of person that she is and their husband are, that they do what they can to help promote this stuff. So, I love it. And, whatever I can do to help out, I'm all on board for it.
Oh, absolutely. Like I said, these are the things we want to get more involved in. We want to get where we can host our own.
Oh yeah. I mean, there's a lot of things, I've helped promote different things, and crow hunts and coyote hunts and fishing derbies and all across the state. And I don't even get out to a lot of these things. I try to, I've even helped, publicize coon hunts and things. And yeah, I've been invited to come out to these, but of course I'm a working man, and, I'm like you guys, this is all volunteer work for me. So, and my life revolves around, working and family, and then this stuff and all the other stuff I'm involved in. And I'm in the Masons Lodge right now, where I'm in charge, and we're doing our 150-year anniversary this year. So we're preparing for a banquet where all the aficionados of the state are coming in, and so we're doing 2 nights a week of planning that stuff too. So it's a busy year.
Oh, your hands are full. I get it, man. I raised 3 kids alone. We try to do this stuff. We promote the board game, trying to sell that, set up events, doing that.
Yeah.
My daughter just changed softball teams. I'm in the midst. I may end up having a coach on top of it all.
Oh, that's
kids
a
have
lot
sports
of work.
every night. Oh, I know. I get it, man. I coached for years. Trust me. I feel you. It's busy. It's seasons are affected. It's all those things, it's but it is what it is. And I believe that through God, all things are possible, right?
Yeah, it's all about the kids. And you know what? I mean, I don't watch television per se. I watch movies and things, but and I've never been into sports. I literally wouldn't watch the Super Bowl if it was in my backyard, but I'm all for kids going out there playing softball and baseball and football and all that stuff. And Grant's been asked to be on the football team because he's 15, he's 6'2", 250 pounds. And he's like, Dad, I don't want to play football. He goes, I want to go sit in a tree stand. That's archery season. I said, buddy, if you want to play football, you could play football. You want to sit in a tree stand, that's all up to you,
I vote tree stand for them. I'm just saying, like that's. I
Yeah,
wish my kids wanted to do that more, but they like the sports. Their friends are there, and you know how it is. Everybody's different.
yeah, that's how it is. I thought that was you barking.
The my lab never goes crazy. I don't know what's going on. She just went nuts. Must have heard something outside. But so I'm going to have Chris bring up this picture because I am intrigued by this picture. All right. I know we're at our 50-minute mark. We normally go over an hour. We always do, so it is what it is. But Chris, bring up that picture. I know that I'm sure that's his son. I was intrigued the moment it came to my phone.
No, that is me.
Oh, that's you.
That is me. Now, the reason I say that picture, that was actually the first day of spring gobbler season a few years back. We had 3 inches of snow on the ground in the first day of turkey season. But that's one of the only good pictures I have of that outfit. I've had that outfit for, oh my God, I've had that outfit for like 40 years. And I have like 2 or 3 of them. But, when I was a kid, my dad was the town cop. So I didn't have too many friends in town when I was really young. And, I grew up in the middle of 50,000 acres, and we had no neighbors. I explained it to people like it was like the movie The Shining, if you ever saw that. My parents were caretakers of a private estate, of 600-acre estate, and it was in the middle of 50,000 acres of public land. And so, I grew up outside fishing and playing in the water and playing in the woods and climbing trees, and that's all I did is study animals and do all that stuff. But there's only so much when you get to a teenager. You want to branch out a little bit. So I heard about this story about the Suskin Screamer, and so there's a long lonely road between Thornhurst and Avoca DuPont. And there's a story where a woman got killed on her wedding night, or a girl in white got killed, and if sometimes people see her and running across the road screaming, and there's a lot of different things that happen. But so when I was younger and bored, I used to put on this outfit, and I used to hide in the woods and run across in front of cars, and it would shake up the town a lot. I mean, there used to be 5 bars in town, but you couldn't buy a bottle of water for, well, they didn't have a lot of that then. You couldn't buy a Coke or anything for 15 miles. So, or buy bread. So anybody that came through after midnight on a Friday or Saturday night was pretty much sauced up back in the 80s. So I would go out there and I'd run out the end of their headlights and run across the road in this outfit, and I'd be camouflaged underneath and tear this thing off. And people would get out of the cars, and you're like, I just saw the Suskin Screamer. Did you see that? I mean, if you could Google it, there's books written about it. And I'm sure I caused probably about, 90% of in the last 20 years of the sightings, it was me,
I love it.
I used to have, there'd be kids coming up from the city, parking, thinking they're in the middle of nowhere, and I'd be out fox hunting, and I'd take my Johnny Stewart call with the big megaphone, and I would stick this thing up under the front of their car, and I would put on the baby red fox pup distress, and I'd turn this thing on, and man, you would just see these fogged up windows. You'd see a hand go across the window. This thing would start up. There'd be clothes flying, and this thing would peel out with no headlights on, right back down to the city again.
There it is, the Suskin Screamer.
Yep. Yeah, there's a few things written about it. I mean,
so you're neither an animal nor a human or a hybrid of both.
I've been accused of that. Yeah, and then we had the trail system across the street from our house where, there's 28 miles of trails in the state forest lands. And, of course, the Sierra Club would come in with buses and bring folks from the city and have them walk the trails. And, well, we built the trails. So I knew the woods before the trails. So we would kind of skirt the trails and taunt them with with animal calls, with the, like I said, my Johnny Stewart cassette tape. I'd be playing stuff and these people would run back to their cars. And there's a logbook entry down there where they had, they'd fill in, I saw a bluebird today and I cried and all this other stuff they'd write down. And then they put, I am never coming back. I saw Sasquatch, he chased me. We'd be banging sticks on the trees, before we even knew that was popular.
Well, you're a girl in a white dress, if that helps.
Yeah, well, am I a pretty girl?
It doesn't state it. I'll give you were pretty, Bob. I don't know what else to say, but I'll give you were pretty.
Yeah, so that was a fun, clean story that I could tell you. So I you asked for it. That was it.
I think that's phenomenal. I'm not going to lie to you. That's great.
Oh, that's not even that's probably
the fact that so I'll tell you something we did, Bob, and I shouldn't, but if we're going to tell mean stories, I'll tell you mine. So we used to take a mannequin and hang it in a tree limb over the middle of the road.
Yeah.
And when the cars would come, we'd be in camo. We'd drop it right off of Main 443 into the highway.
Nice.
And people would get out, oh my God, and we'd take off. I mean, once they get out, they know it's a mannequin, but until then, they crap their pants.
Yeah.
And let's just say we got caught one day and we got a good butt whooping. And it wasn't from my mom or dad.
Yeah.
You wouldn't believe how adults beat your butt when they find you.
Yeah, well, that gets them worked up. And like I said, this is probably in the top 10, but it's not the worst thing that I've done.
I think that's a great story.
That's
so let me ask them, you wear that turkey hunt, right? So is that, it looks like it blends really well.
Oh, it's awesome. I actually, the only reason I wore that was because it snowed that day. And, but I wear that muzzleloader hunting all the time, deer season, obviously you got to wear orange. So I generally don't wear it then, but when you go out the muzzleloader in the late flintlock season, I've walked right up on deer, man. You could breathe down their neck with that thing.
Now, what's that made out of?
Dude, it's just a bed sheet with some scattered printing on it.
That's all it is.
That's all it is. And it's a poncho, it has armholes and it's so ripped and tattered that I got it pinned and tied together here and there. But, my son said I look like the turkey angel of death there. And that's when he took my picture when we were turkey hunting with that.
I was going to say, didn't you hear? He's a pretty girl in a white dress. What do you think?
Yeah, it's great camo. I'm looking at your background, honestly. Like when I looked at that picture and you first sent it to me, I was like, dude, that is a perfect match.
Yeah,
the dark green on the...
I'm just standing there. I didn't even try to blend in. We literally walked off the road and my kid's like, Dad, that outfit's pretty badass. And he's like, let me take a picture. And I just kind of stood there and I didn't, I have a turkey vest on underneath this thing with decoys in it. So I look massive with this thing on, but it's, my dad wears it. He always wore it, and used it. And like I said, we had a couple of them. So, it's a pretty cool thing. And it was cheap. It was, that Outdoor Warehouse, whatever used to be popular, the magazine. And my dad, he's, like a QVC shopper with this stuff. He's like, oh, I got to have that. That's pretty cool. So we bought a couple of them and we used it and I still use it, man. I love that thing. And now it's muzzleloader hunting. I got a lot of blood on it, but you wash it out with a little protein cleaner.
Yeah, it gets clean, a little oxy clean, right? You can clean anything with that stuff.
Exactly. It shows its wear. I rip it every time I shoot a deer. I put a little rip in it.
I'm going to ask you something way off topic.
Sure.
I was surprised by this today. I was surprised by this today, and I'm going to ask you because you have a sense of humor like me. So I was told up in Scranton, Wilkes-Barre area that this weekend they had a cow shit bingo, and that's how the guy worded it. I'm only repeating what it was called. Have you ever heard of a cow shit bingo?
Absolutely. I grew up right straight through the woods from there. Yeah, the up in Springbrook, they have there's a couple of them, so I don't know which one went on. They have one in Troop now, they have one in Springbrook, and I think there's one somewhere else along the line. But that's a lot of fun, man. You go there, and it might, it depends on which one you go to. It'll have a carnival thing. They have a lot of local foods, excellent food, basket raffles and things, little games for the kids, and they just have this little acre and a half pen, and they they grit it all off with lime, and you throw your money in there, and you got to guess where the cow drops his load there, and it's big money, man. People are, they get out there and they look at it. Where's the grass a little bit greener, and they pick all around that, and there's a science to it, man. That's like the local scratch offs right there for cow flop bingo.
He said it was huge. I was like, I've never heard of it ever. I was like, Bob, I was like, I'm talking to a guy tonight. I guarantee I heard of it.
Oh, absolutely. I'm friends with a lot of the guys from that fire department. In fact, my buddy Alex, last year I went up there and he was up there cooking. I don't even know if he's a member there, but he helps out a lot of stuff. And he was up there cooking last year for it. And he actually shared the post that this was going to be on tonight. Today he shared it. So I got a chuckle out of that you brought that up.
Like I said, it was just a guy talked to me. He said, I went up to this thing. I spent some money. He's like, I've never heard of it, but I had to go check it out. And now I'm intrigued. Now I want to go check it out. I ain't gonna lie. Now I want to go play cow poop bingo. That's where I'm at.
You know what? I caught that big rattlesnake last year, not far from there.
Really?
Yeah, it's a good area up there. I grew up not far from there. In fact, you could cross the street and you could walk through the woods. It's like 7 or 8 miles to get to where I grew up. It's just nothing but woods back there.
I tell you what, you grew up in all that land. That's a big deal. I know when we grew up, we didn't grow up per se in the woods, but we had a lot of land around us that wasn't posted. And
yeah,
man, we used to have a good time.
Yeah, I mean, even where I live now, I live in a little town called German. I could throw a rock at my neighbors' houses. It's the city to me. But you know what? I got all really cool neighbors, man. They're awesome. I really got great neighbors, and I have Aylesworth Creek Park literally up the street from me. I take the kids up there. We go swimming. We're in there scuba diving. They got property around there, hiking trails and things, and they have rattlesnakes up there occasionally, and so it's got everything that's good. It's minutes walk. I live next to trophy trout waters. I have trout waters here. We catch 20 some inch trout down here regularly. And I end up going to the Delaware or out to the Poconos out there fly fishing for the little ones. Just different,
Well, I guess if you're at the same area all the time, you end up making changes. So
yeah, I got all these fish named by now,
Well, that's what I mean. Like, it's just something different. You get to go out and different area and learn new things. Sometimes, when you fish the same place or you hunt the same place over and over again, that gets old as well.
Yeah, and I that's why I always like going to new areas, even snake hunting. I like going to new areas just to explore. We found some new areas. We hit it. We didn't find a single snake, but we had a good time. Went for a nice walk, found mushrooms, antlers, whatever, different stuff. It was pretty cool. That's why I said next year you guys want to go, we'll come down your way, and we'll find some snakes.
Yeah, I'm all in. Like I said, I'll bet you that we could find a spot with some side by sides to take us back like deep. You know what I mean? I know there's some real deep spots back through here. And nice. Around here, ATVs are, your way's the same, I'm sure.
Yeah, our way's
ATVs are pretty big around here.
I actually stay away from those areas because, they don't like the ATV traffic. But I do find the areas because of some people with ATVs too, but I do hunt a lot of public land where ATVs aren't allowed. Most of my hunting is on public land, so I don't run into them for that reason, And you know what? I just thought of something else while I was talking to you. I watched that your last podcast that you did with when you were talking about the snake hunt, and there was a couple things in there that were way off. I wanted to clear up on you.
Absolutely.
A male rattlesnake will move up to 5 miles looking for a female. And then that's in a season. And then they'll move up to 1 mile a day looking for a female. And then, I think Bill was saying that when you fall, you don't want to put your hands down. When we were walking, we were climbing up rocks. I said, don't reach up and put your hand on the rocks because there might be a snake there. But if you fall, absolutely put your hands out, but if you're climbing around, you kind of want to be conscious of where you're grabbing. But we didn't get into so many other things. Like, the one thing I wanted to tell you, I totally forgot, was about the rattlesnake. A lot of people confuse them for the water snake. But if you look at a rattlesnake, they got keeled scales. Same thing with a copperhead, but they're smaller. You can't really see them too well. you get a water snake, the scales are smooth, but when you look at a up close to a rattlesnake, you'll see they got like a ridge down the middle of their scales. So it's like when you're looking at this thing, you know immediately. Maybe the patterns might be goofy, it's shedding, whatever. They look similar, but one's got keeled scales, the other one does not. So it's a dead giveaway that it's a venomous snake.
But you also said, Bob, correct me if I'm wrong, venomous to water snake swimming in the water. The venomous will swim on top.
Yeah, they look
and
like
the water snake only swims its head, right?
Yeah, you'll see there. If you saw them swimming side by side, you'd be like, "Wow, this one's underwater, and this one looks like he's floating right on top of the water." So that's a big difference. I mean, I don't see him a lot around water around where I'm at. I've seen him crossing streams and things, and it's pretty cool looking seeing him wiggle across the water. And you're like, "Wow, that thing's not sinking." When I grew up seeing water snakes all the time, it just looked very odd to me,
Right. We were fishing Saturday. They said for 5 days straight they had a rattlesnake cross the road right above us.
Oh yeah, nice.
Yeah, the guy said he has to go catch them and put them on the other side of the road so nobody runs them over.
Yeah, that's cool, man. Well, snakes are like, I tease my kid because I've never been into bass fishing, and he is like psychotic into bass fishing. And he catches his bass. He's like, "Dad, look at the size of this bass." I said, "Dad, let's cut that up and throw it in the garden." He's like, "Are you kidding me?" No, because how old bass. You get a 4 or 5 pound bass, man. That thing's like 10 years old, 15 years old. Well, the rattlesnake's kind of the same way. Though a lot of those snakes that we handled were 20 years old. So, it's got a bit of a, you're like, I don't want to just kill this thing. It's hanging around too long. It's not like it just had a lifespan like a dove where 10 months or whack it, another one will come by,
I think that makes perfect sense.
Yeah.
I mean, you respect nature. I always say it'll respect you back.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, hunters are the biggest conservation organization in the world.
Yeah, definitely.
Absolutely.
But Bob, we have reached an hour, 6 minutes. We try to keep this show within 45 an hour.
Oh yeah, we didn't even get to half the stuff. Christ.
No, we didn't. So if you want to get on another night, let me know. We'll get on another night.
Yeah, bring your buddies in. They had a lot of questions when I saw you guys all on there last time. I was like, then I come on, there's only 2 of you. I was like, oh boy, I have a lot less questions to answer this time.
Well, Brandon works horses and he always has fowls and stuff being delivered. So he probably got stuck in that. He gets stuck a lot of times with the horses, and then he can't run out. Jazzveer has dropped from our show. Yeah, he's from Ohio. He said he wants to make some of his own way, and with Browtown Innovations, he's working on growing and doing some new things. And I respect that, man. You do what you got to do.
Absolutely. When I came to Pennsylvania Hunting and Fishing Addicts, there was like a dozen of us, and and some people they were good at certain parts of the year doing stuff bow hunting, and then somebody was good at cat fishing, and somebody was good at trout fishing, and then you didn't hear from a lot from the rest of the year, and I'm all in. I like doing stuff all year round, so I'm always doing something, and I'm always everything's an adventure, so I like sharing a lot of that stuff. So we generally get out and do something all the time, but I'm not out every day, and I got a pretty dark sense of humor, but I try to keep it all PG. So I have people sending me funny memes all the time, and like 1 in 10 I'm able to share, and I try to throw something on there every day to people enjoy it, and it's pretty fun stuff. Yeah, that's the website. I haven't seen that in a couple of years. I don't know if that's been updated. Yeah, now it's generally down to just me and Bobby. My Bobby's the president. He's the one that started Pennsylvania Hunting and Fishing Addicts. And he's busy as heck, has a new job, and he's got young kids, and he's got his hands full. And me, I lay awake all night all the time, so I'm always on Facebook scrolling around anyway. If I'm not out in the woods or fishing. One other quick story I want to tell you was that whole thing with "This is my church, all are welcome."
Oh, this is a great story. I love this story. Go ahead.
Now. Well, it started kind of twofold. When I first got onto Facebook, which I was anti-Facebook at first, and then I got onto it because I saw it as an avenue to promote, youth and different things, and that's how I really got into it was through a few outdoor pages, and I used to take my kids out fishing, and I took a couple pictures, and I'm like, man, this is absolute, God's country. And you catch a nice native brook, and you're like, this thing is painted by the hand of God Himself. And I had one or two where I said that, but what happened one time was I was a fire chief, and I was asked to officiate a wedding. And they said, "Oh, you're a fire chief. You could do that." And so at the time, I applied, and they told me you can't do that. You need to act. There's too many people doing this fraudulently. So you have to prove that you have an audience or a flock or whatever, for like a weekly thing going on. That you have to have this, an action like a church going on. And I'm like, does it have to be a physical church? And they're like, well, what else is there? I'm like, oh, there's a lot else. So I started doing like once a week, this is my church, all are welcome. And it's like, man, I got 29,000 churchgoers right now. So I'm pretty sure there's not a lot of churches around here that have that audience.
I would agree. As much as I hate to agree, I would agree.
Yeah.
But you are supporting God. You're taking care of nature. You're being a good human. Those are all things God looks for. You're generous. You help the youth. You help other people. So don't forget, in all that, you really are creating your own church. As long as you do it with the right heart, God blesses it.
Absolutely, man. And if even if it just inspires somebody else to do something, that's what it's all about,
Amen. That's why we do it. Well, we that's honestly why we do it. We have a little guy who just joined up with us, Bronson, and he, man, I enjoy him. Oh my God, I enjoy being around him hunting, and I'm the laugh guy. That's me. I'm the jokester. So we have a lot of fun together, him and I. And
nice.
That's what it's about. I mean, it really is. It's really about inspiring somebody else, whether it's a man, a woman, a child, a niece, a nephew, an uncle. It doesn't matter. It's about inspiring someone else to love what we love, and hopefully at a greater level than we love it.
Yeah, absolutely. We went out to Orangeville on Saturday. They had a youth event, and they asked me if I'd do a trapping seminar there. And then it came down to the wire, and they felt there wasn't enough time, so I didn't have to do it. But I went out there for it, and I signed Grant up, and we went through it. And they had fly tying, trap shooting, rifle shooting. The game commission was there doing demonstrations and talking about bear traps. The fish commission was there doing boat safety. We shot muzzleloaders. We shot archery. They did turkey hunting seminar. Man, they put on a really cool event for the kids. And I was like, man, that's pretty sweet doing that. I mean, I'm working on things like that. Camp Freedom is right up the road from us. I don't know if you're familiar with Camp Freedom, but
heard of it.
Yeah, they do a lot of stuff for veterans and first responders and Gold Star families, and they're building a range and a building up there now. And I'm talking to them about doing some hands-on, having a hands-on. They got a special word for it, where it's like you take your hunter's ed class. And, you get to go out and shoot a gun or shoot a bow or, set traps and do stuff. So I'm working with them on getting a couple classes going for next year and having something like that going up there, because they have a venue where it'll be a lot bigger, because we do hunter's ed classes now. We got a dozen kids. That's it. I used to have 85, 90 kids in a class. But since COVID, it just knocks them right down. We don't have the volume that we have, and I'm trying to get the interest back in there. And I think if we have the skills test, like the skills class, like they have in other areas, that we would get it, because some areas have it. Luzerne County, they have a sportsman's club that put it on, but in Lackawanna County, man, we don't have anything like that.
I think what happens there, Bob, and you can please don't laugh. It's just my opinion, but I think that everybody's uncle, dad takes a course for them at this point of life, because now it can all be done online. And I think it's a real crappy way of doing it, because I think,
you know what? I don't know about that, because I'll tell you what, if you actually sit down and go through that, it takes like 16 to 20 hours to do that. And you can't scrub through the videos or anything like that. And you have to, I'm not saying they didn't take the test for them, they may very well have, but It's just like anything else you could take online. There's room to cheat and do all that. But, I think the kids miss out on the things by doing that. I know a lot of people that had to take it online because of COVID. A lot of my friends and their kids, and they said, wow, it was exhausting, man. We were doing 4 hours a night, and it took us 5-6 nights to do it over the course of 2 weeks, and to log on and watch the videos and answer the questions and the quizzes and that. And they sat with their kids doing it all.
Right.
But I've been to hunter's ed classes where the parents are sitting next to them and they're like, put down A.
Well, and that's it. Kudos to the ones who take the time to do it right, and the ones that don't, shame on you.
Yeah.
That's really the reality of what it is.
Yep.
The kids learn nothing by you doing it for them. That's.
Yeah.
I remember watching the pheasant video when I was, 11 years old, of the guy getting shot in the face, and
Yep.
I don't know if they still watch that video. It's been a long time ago. But
it's a turkey hunting video. Yeah, it is.
Is that what it was? Turkey hunting video. The guy got shot in the face. It's definitely a. You want them to watch it. It's definitely a learning experience, no doubt about it.
You have to watch that. I remember when I took it, it was 3 days long back in the early '80s, and they brought guns in that were used in that. They brought a gun in that somebody saw the brown of the stock from 100 yards away, thought it was a doe, and the girl actually, and I know the girl who was holding the gun. The guy shot the stock right off the gun. They used to bring it in and show it to everybody, and they'd bring guns in and show them what they're using and flintlocks and everything else. It was more hands-on back then. Now it's like 6 hours. That's it. And they wanted me to teach trapping. They're like, you have 23 minutes. Go, And then I barely get a story, and the guy's in the back. He's flicking the lights. You gotta stop.
Yeah, I definitely can see it being like that, no doubt. Because, like I said, everybody's lives are busy, so everything's done. Let's go.
Yeah, that's how it is. That's how it is. But there's certain things in life that you just got to make time for. I worked a lot when I was younger, and I missed out on a lot of my kids' stuff when they were younger when they were little, because man, I was working 68 hours a week, and I was in a job where it was, I liked the job and I liked the people there, and they did me very well, man. I have no regrets. I loved working there, but man, when I got into a cubicle, that was it for me, man. I was voted most likely to bring a gun to work. So I knew I had to make a decision to move on, and I started my own business, and I got out, and now I could take the time off and, take the wife to the doctors or take the kids fishing or doing something, we do it. So it works out great. And, I'm lucky I have that luxury. A lot of parents don't. That's why a lot of people are talking about the Saturday starting season and the Sunday hunting and such. It's like, why would you want to pass up an opportunity to be able to go hunting or to be outside to do stuff like that? Why would you be against that? I can't see it,
Yeah, I'm in the same boat. I work a lot of hours, so for me, that Saturday is a big deal.
Yeah, I was upset that you had to buy your license on Monday online. It's like, buddy, I'm at work. Why can't we do this on Saturday?
Yeah, I have to agree with you on that. I thought it was pretty crappy myself.
Well, I thought I think it was done on purpose, and I think it was a pretty good trick, because everybody was everybody was irritated that they couldn't get online and get their license on Monday. It's like, wow, yeah, maybe we better keep the Saturday opener or for buck season then. I think it just proved.
I didn't look at it that way. See, now there's another. I didn't look at it that way.
That's the way I looked at it from the start. I called that actually on the hunting page too. I came right out and said it's going to be chaos Monday morning. Bullets are going to fly, and it did. I caught a lot of flack for it too, but it is what it is. I thought it was pretty. I
didn't see it that way. You just made me look at it differently. That they set it up to prove why Saturdays are so important.
Yeah, a lot of guys are like, I had to work. I couldn't buy my license. Well, there you go.
That's awesome. Bob, We're going to have to hook up with you. We'll get you on a second time. We'll do like a part 2.
There you go.
I think that would be really cool to get you on to a part 2, get you tell a lot more, because I know there's a lot of more stories going inside there.
Oh, yeah.
We're almost at an hour 20.
Yeah.
Our viewer ratings, one reason we keep it to an hour is we notice at the hour mark, our viewer ratings go whoop.
Yeah, well,
so at this point, I think we have 3 live viewers at this point.
Yeah.
3 live viewers at this point.
My mom, my brother, and Grant probably.
It might be because there was a bunch on and they just start falling off. Like I said, you can watch. Chris and I, the reason we never really had a time limit, and then we hit that 45 hour, and we just watch all the viewers start just timbering off. And finally, we were like, listen, we got to stay within this window because after that, the window's gone.
Yep.
But yeah, if you're free, let's do a part 2.
Yeah, anytime, man. Let me know.
I just want to wish Bob a happy birthday tomorrow. He makes time for family.
Oh, that's my wife. I told you my wife's on there.
Oh, that was really sweet. That was really sweet. Happy birthday, Bob.
Nice. Now I got to pay her $5.
Yeah. Now I got to pay her $5. I love it. I absolutely love it.
Nothing says love like key in your car.
Oh,
all right,
but
brother.
Yeah, let's get you on for part 2. Let's do a part 2. We'll get you on. Oh, your daughter is watching too.
Oh, yep. There you go. Yep. I told you that's the other person. And
Happy
there's
birthday,
Alex.
Bob. There's another. Look at this.
That's Alex. That's the dude from the cow flop.
Oh, is that the dude from the cow flop?
Yes, it is.
I got to get with him. I want to play cow flop bingo.
There you go. You could sign up, and you don't even have to be there.
Yeah, that's what we'll do. I'll just sign up. I'll send the money.
Send you the check in the mail, but man, I'm going to tell you, it smells like a farm.
Don't bother me. We live farm country. There's no bother there.
Nice. All right, brother. Well, it was a good time. And like I said, next year, you guys want to go snake hunting, man. We'll definitely hook up. But meanwhile, you want to go do some ice fishing or something, we'll hook up and go do that, man. I'm
always intrigued, man. Anything I can shoot a video and get some footage and enjoy outdoors, we're in. Ain't Chris? We're always
because somebody at least does, because I forget to take pictures all the time. The whole youth event, I took 2 pictures. The snake hunt, I took 2 pictures. Jimmy took more with my camera than I did with it.
Yeah, he did. Yeah.
I literally always forget to take pictures on all these things that I do. I'm not kidding you.
Yeah, that's one thing. We take a lot of pictures and video. We try to get a lot of videos. We get a lot of pictures. That's for sure.
Nice.
But Bob, listen, man, I appreciate having you on. I appreciate you taking us a couple weeks ago. I appreciate the experience, the time. I appreciate meeting a new friend.
Absolutely.
So it was great. And I think we should have you on another night. We'll do maybe a part 2. You can send us some more pictures and videos. We'll do a lot more discussion.
All right, brother. Sounds good, man. Good talking to you guys.
Sounds great. Have a great night and God bless.
You too. Take care. I don't know how to hang it up, but we'll figure it out.
We'll get you. You just hit and click off.
Thanks a lot. Take care.
See ya.